Putting business ahead of principles. I'm Brian Lilly with the Rebel.media. Should Canada cozy up to dictatorial regimes just to help sell our goods? What if the regime in question is the world's biggest state sponsor of terrorism and a regime that regularly threatens the very existence of Israel? Is it okay to push dollars over principles? I don't ask that question lightly, but looking at the facts, that's what I think is happening here, in particular when it comes to Bombardier, a company that Trudeau's Liberals are desperate to help with taxpayers' money, and apparently by changing Canada's foreign policy to fit their agenda. We've been telling you about the push by Trudeau and his Liberals to fund Bombardier to the tune of $1 billion of taxpayers' dollars. The language currently being used is not if, but how to give them the money. And we've told you about the extensive lobbying of the Trudeau Liberals by Bombardier. Their CEO, Alain Bellemare, has met with over 100 senior bureaucrats or politicians since the election a year ago. That includes several meetings with Stéphane Dion, the Foreign Affairs Minister, and some of his key staff, including Daniel Jean, the Deputy Minister over at Foreign Affairs, Julian Ovens, Dion's Chief of Staff, and Joseph Pickerel, his Director of Communications. Now, why are they doing that? Why are they having so many meetings? Well, one reason is Bombardier wants sanctions against Iran lifted and lifted fast, and they want relations normalized because they want to sell the Iranians some planes. If you listen to the Liberals carefully and look at why they're doing this in a hurry, why they're in a hurry to kiss and make up with a regime that sponsors terror, threatens Israel, harasses Canadian citizens, and was spying when we still allowed their diplomats in, well, if you listen to the Liberals, their intentions are clear. It's all about business.
I would say that the approach of the former government was ideological and irrational. What they are proposing in the opposition now to be alone to maintain sanctions, in which way it will affect Iran, but surely it will affect business in Canada. So we need to be effective. We think that when you have a disagreement with the regime, you don't pull out. You work harder to be sure that you will see improvement. It's what our allies did in negotiating with Iran. An agreement that is good for the world.
That was Stéphane Dion back in January. Their policy hasn't changed, but should business interest really be driving our foreign affairs policy? There's been no end to the outcry that some armored vehicles were sold to the Saudis. The Saudis are an ally of Canada, to be sure. They're a questionable one, but they are an ally, albeit one with a horrible human rights record. But meanwhile, we've got a despotic regime in Tehran that's funded Hamas and Hezbollah, continues to back Bashar al-Assad, and we want to make nice with them? It doesn't make sense to me, and it shouldn't make sense to you. And yet, both the Liberals and Bombardier are up front. This is about selling planes. Those comments I just played from Dion back in January, well, here's the Reuters article that went with that comment from the Newswire service. Canada to lift Tehran sanctions, allow Bombardier to export to Iran. Then there's this one, a Bloomberg headline from a few months later in April. Bombardier in talks about deal with new Iranian airline. And then just last week in The Globe, Bombardier will catch up to rivals in Iran, CEO says. Are we really changing our foreign policy towards one of the worst governments in the world just to help one Montreal-based company sell a few planes? I hope not, but that's how it looks to me. And that's how it's looked for some time now. I think Bombardier makes great products. Their planes are fantastic. But the power of this one company over the current government is worrisome. They're able to get a principled foreign policy changed and a promise of $1 billion from taxpayers. That is crazy. If you're like me and you think that this is just too much, if you oppose the corporate welfare, if you worry what cozying up to Iran will mean to our real friend and ally in the Middle East, Israel, then I ask you to sign our petition at stopbackingbombardier.ca and lend us your voice. We're also commissioning a poll on the government's relationship with Bombardier and could use your help to fund it. It costs about $1,500, so any donation will help. $5, $25, $50 or more. Every little bit helps. Go now, sign the petition, stopbackingbombardier.ca, and help us stop the madness. Hope you like what you just saw. If you did, make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss another Rebel video again, or support us by becoming a member and accessing premium content that only members can get. And remember, we don't get the $1 billion like the other guys. You want to help us out? Share this video on Facebook. Do it now.